You can now be fined $10,000 in Western Australia, not for breaking the law, not for mishandling a firearm, not for anything violent or anything unsafe, just for leaving the state with your legally owned firearm and coming back without filling out the right form. $5,000 to leave, $5,000 to return. No crime, no harm done. Just bureaucracy with teeth. And even the Parliament, now even the Parliament admits that this isn't working. They've launched a formal inquiry into the Firearms Act of 2024. But honestly, here's the catch. The law, well, it's still active. The fines are still real, and the system, it's still broken. If you think this review means that you're safe, well, think again. You need to know exactly what's happening and what you can do before the deadline hits. Before we go on, if you want to help keep this channel truly independent, join as a member or grab something from our merch store. There's honestly no sponsors, nothing. Just Aussies supporting Aussies. Links are in the description. So since the 2024 Firearms Act came into effect, Western Australia shooters have found themselves trapped in a bureaucratic nightmare. You can't even transition your license unless the system actually works smoothly, but right now it simply doesn't. Shooters repeatedly report that the online portal is crashing just when they need it the most. The My ID verification system. Yes, that My ID verification system. The one that is critical for managing firearm registrations consistently refuses to link accounts, leaving users stuck in a loop of endless error messages, and landowners, yes, our landowners, face their own hurdles, with property registration process becoming exhausting and very confusing maze. Critical online forms either honestly fail to submit or even vanish entirely, forcing landowners into repeated attempts that waste valuable time and energy. And when these problems arise, the support system that is supposed to help, well, it's nowhere to be found. Calls to the helpline ring out unanswered, leaving users stranded without assistance. Emails. People are even sending emails that vanish into that bureaucratic void and unanswered and left forgotten. Here is why this honestly matters. When your license renewal date approaches, you have just 90 days. That's it, 90 days. This isn't speculation. It's clearly spelled out in the latest guidance issued by Western Australia Police. This 90-day window is a general grace period. It's precisely calculated from your individual license expiry date, but what happens if the system crashes during that critical 90-day period? I'm going to say you lose your license. Plain and simple. No extensions, no allowances, no exceptions at all. Even if you've done everything right, you are the one that's being penalized for system failures, completely outside of your control. This isn't merely poor planning or, a temporary inconvenience. This situation steadily wears down responsible firearms, pushing them into frustration and exhaustion until they're forced to abandon their licenses altogether. So if this has already happened to you, or you know somebody that has happened to, please, share what happened in the comments, because I'd really like to know your experience in the comments below. And I honestly read every single one, and it's crucial that these stories get out into the open. The $10,000 travel trap. Well, there's a clause in the Firearms Act that most people don't even know about. And if you take a firearm out of Western Australia without notifying licensing services, you face a $5,000 fine. And if you bring it back in without even notifying them again, it's just laughable. If you do not notify them again, that's another $5,000. That's right. A staggering $10,000 per travel event. It's not per firearm nor per overall trip, but every single border crossing without the proper paperwork. And here's the thing. This clause is already enforceable, and it doesn't matter if your firearm is legally transported. Imagine heading interstate for a shooting competition or a hunting trip with your mates, or even just a family holiday. You cross the border without lodging the right form. You're hit with a $5,000 fine, and coming back, they'll give you another $5,000. And if you're wondering where this has come from, yes, it is real. Western Australia Police published an official document called the Firearm Travel Notification Form, version 1.1, dated the 30th of May 2025. It's not optional. This form clearly states that taking a firearm out of Western Australia without lodging it first is a $5,000 offence. Same again when you're bringing it back. You're expected to upload your travel plans, including your vehicle details, list your firearm serial numbers, and explain how they will be stored at your destination. Even if you're just taking a weekend trip, missing that paperwork could cost you 10 grand. I know I've said that a number of times now, but I want to enforce how ludicrous this is. $10,000. How exactly does fining law-abiding systems over paperwork protect the public? It doesn't. It's a punishment waiting to trap responsible gun owners, not to protect the communities. On the 28th of May, the Western Australia Legislative Council passed a motion to formally investigate the Firearms Act of 2024. It was unanimous government opposition. Even the Greens jumped on board as well. Everybody supported it. Why? Because this law was bulldozed through Parliament. Only 11 clauses out of 492 were debated, and the remaining 481 were passed with zero scrutiny after government declared it was urgent. Now, the Standing Committee on Legislation has been ordered to review the Act's implementation and investigate the parts that were enforced before they were even legally active, assess if it breaches basic legal principles, and recommend amendments to make it workable. If that's even possible, but let me be very, very clear. This is not a repeal. So you may be wondering how you can make a submission and why it actually matters. This is a real opportunity. You can send your story straight to Parliament, and you've got until the 4th of July. That is the deadline. So here is what you need to do. Go to Western Australia Parliament website, click on the Standing Committee on Legislation and find the Firearms Act 2024 inquiry. Click Lodge your submission. Write what happened to you. Did the portal fail? Were you caught out by any unclear rules? Did the delays block your license or landowner permissions? Were you threatened with a fine that you didn't even know it existed? You don't need any fancy words. You don't need anything like that. You just need to be very clear, respectful, and of course, honest. Don't copy paste templates as well that you find online. Write your own story. The committee wants real people and those real stories. And those submissions get quoted. They shape the amendments and they get remembered. So make yours count. Because groups like Shooters Union Australia exist to help shooters nationwide. And if you're struggling with your submission, well, I honestly believe that they could be an organisation that you could reach out to help you with your submission. So I just want to encourage everybody. This is your time. You didn't get a vote on this law. You weren't invited to the drafting table, but right now you've got a microphone. Use it respectfully, truthfully, and make your submission. Share your experience before the 4th of July 2025, then send this message to someone who still doesn't know what's happening. This is the only window that we have before it gets worse. And it's getting worse, and it's consistently getting worse. Let's take this opportunity right now. And if this has frustrated you, make sure you check this video on the screen right now, because I'm talking about castle law and why it needs to be implemented within Australia.